What connects Brush Creek in Kansas City and the potato? I ponder this as a sexagenarian, a word that makes it seem like there's more going on in my life than just being in my 60s. I grew up a suburban kid worried about nuclear war. I studied theology, seeking the meaning of life. Here I stand to ponder the link between Brush Creek and the common spud. But where to start? Here on Brush Creek, near Country Club Plaza, is a gondola pulled by my friend Ark. Further east, Brush Creek flows by the Nelson Atkins Museum, filled with art. Yet near me is pavement covered with bird droppings. How do I connect all of this with the potato? I can use AI. Actual imagination. This is a replica of a gondola from Venice. Now all I do is follow the arc of history. Across Italy from Venice is the city of Genoa, and from there came not a boat, but a sailor, Christopher Columbus, who arrived in the New World with the Spanish in 1492. They began a brutal conquest of the native peoples that led to the enslavement and death of millions, and they brought new diseases. They created the largest genocide in history. But the Spanish discovered the potato in Peru. The locals grew many kinds of potatoes. The Spanish chose one. The natives knew that should there ever be some kind of blight, it would only affect a few potatoes. There would still be plenty to eat. Also, the natives thought the white potato was the least tasty. But potatoes went to Europe and changed everything. They produced a lot of food on a little land and were easy to store. This made possible the growth of the peasant class and the laboring class. The Nelson Atkins makes me think of Vincent van Gogh. His 1855 painting shows Dutch peasants eating potatoes. My mother hung a print of this in our kitchen, and it looked down over our dinners of instant mashed potatoes. The Nelson has this Van Gogh done at the same time. The Nelson also displays Silver, Missouri, a metal map of the Missouri River created by Maya Lin. Her more famous sculpture is the Vietnam War Memorial. Brush Creek starts near 79th Street and Lamar Avenue in Overland Park, Kansas. It wanders north into Missouri at Shawnee Mission Parkway. It flows east along Country Club Plaza, passes the Nelson Atkins, and empties into the Blue River, which flows north to the Missouri. The Missouri River flows east into the Mississippi, north of St. Louis, and the water makes its way to New Orleans to wind up in the Gulf of Mexico, which empties into the Atlantic. The potato fed the peasants in Ireland, but then a blight arrived that killed potatoes and created the terrible famine from 1845 to 1852. The Irish did not have potato diversity. Perhaps 1 million died in Ireland, and another 1 million left their homeland, crossing the Atlantic. Many died en route on boats called coffin ships. In Europe, before the famine, crops needed fertilizer, but local animals could not produce enough manure. However, on islands off of Peru, seagulls had been nesting for centuries, and their droppings had built up. The droppings are called bird guano. The gulls left lots of guano, hills of guano. Enslaved Chinese workers dug guano on these islands, but a blight carried in one of the guano ships got to Ireland and brought disaster. Irish famine refugees landed in Boston and New York, where they had a great influence. Some ships sailed from Ireland to New Orleans, where many Irish stayed. Others took steamboats north to St. Louis. Some of them took boats west on the Missouri River to Kansas City, where they would create one of the largest Irish populations in the country. This heritage can be seen in McGee Street, the annual St. Patrick's Day Parade, and Brown's Irish Marketplace. And so it all fits. But what about my fear of nuclear war in my youth? In the classic 1964 movie about nuclear war, Dr. Strangelove, one of the characters was Colonel Bat Guano. And so the question is answered. I can rest in peace as the sun sets over Brush Creek.